What's up, guys? I'm out here at Kai Kai Farms out here by Indiantown, standing here with my man Lee. Lee, what's your full name?
My name is Eric Lee Wall. I'm a longtime resident here of Indiantown. Family moved here in 1908. We officially homesteaded in 1930. We've been part of everything from straightening out the canals to the sugar industry.
Wow, that's awesome. And what was that cool little fact that you were talking about with Florida agriculture?
Well, something that's not a lot of people know is that between 1860 and 1865, during the unpleasantries between the states, we produced more beef cattle for the Confederacy than the entire state of Texas. We had all the resources, and we can keep more cows per acre of land here than you can anywhere else in the Union except Hawaii.
Wow.
We had salt refineries here. We had wild Spanish cattle that had been running the swamps since the Spanish first landed, and they started running wild and breeding in the swamps and getting feral. And when they were running loose, wasn't nobody tracking them down. Nobody wanted to live here. So when the Civil War came around, they were taking all the local guys and they were handing them a whip and a horse, and they would drive the cattle out of the swamp. And that's cracking that whip. It earned them the name the Crackers.
Wow.
And that's where we get our name from.
That is so cool, man. You said there was more bears than people.
Yeah,
Here.
up until 1941, black bears outnumbered people in the state of Florida.
That is awesome. Wow, I love me some black bears, but
Oh, yeah,
you know,
man.
that's really cool because, you know, coming from Kansas, for example, when they just hear the way I talk and my accent and what I talk about, first thing they'd say is, "You're a cracker, aren't you?"
No,
And where I'm from,
that's
the
a
word
derogatory insult.
yeah, the word cracker is like something that you'd say bad about in a racist way.
Yeah. Well,
So no, I ain't racist.
for a long time it was derogatory and racist because the only people who were crackers were the poorest of the poor in Florida and the people who lived out in the swamps.
Mhm.
And you know, it was the people who were here, natives, driving them out. It was a lot of people who came up out of Georgia who were super poor and couldn't hack it in Georgia. So they picked up and they moved down south.
Mhm.
And they intermingled with all the people that were down here too. Cracker doesn't denote a race, it denotes the people of Florida.
Mhm.
The first place the Underground Railroad went was south because it was easier to get to Florida than it was to get north of the line.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of runaway slaves. We had a lot of people who couldn't hack it in Georgia, people who didn't have money, gamblers, drunks, people who couldn't make it, but they wanted a new start, and they figured they could start over in Florida. And our entire state is made up of people who are wanting a fresh start, and that includes the Indians too. The Native Seminoles and the Muskogee and all the people, all the tribes that are from around here. They are originally dislocated tribes from up north, which is why when the government came in a second time to try and boot them out, they said, "Nah, we've played this song and dance before too." That's why the Seminoles never signed a peace treaty.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
That is pretty amazing. And here I am coming from Kansas. That reason I came to Florida was probably looking for a fresh start.
Yeah, man. No, I tell
So I mean, it's
everybody,
not a whole lot different then, is it?
we got lots of room out here. It feels a little full at the edges, and it ain't quite
Yes,
as roomy
sir.
as it used to be. But
Yes,
you know
sir.
what? We still got plenty of room, and if you're willing to hack the heat and the hurricanes, by God, you ride it out.
Yes,
and
sir.
That's my rule for being a native. If you sit out 3 hurricanes, you're a native. If you were born here and you hit the state line whenever they start coming, you can peel that Salt Life sticker off the truck.
I love it. Yes, sir. That is great. Wow. What an honor it is to meet you and that just mentality. You know, because one thing that I always hear, and I'll say quote unquote Floridians because they're Floridians like me, like as far as Floridians that aren't from Florida, but they'll always say, you know, overdevelopment and you know, the population's such a problem. But at the same time, these people never leave the edges, the coast.
Yeah.
You know, like this is where it's at. I mean, this is country right here. You know, reminds me of home. That's why I'm always coming out to Indiantown, Okeechobee, and all these different places to come hang out.
All the smart people who are fed up with the population, they've left Palm Beach County, they moved to Okeechobee. Okeechobee's growing by leaps and bounds, but in 20-acre lots.
Exactly. And when I hopped out of my truck, you were more than friendly with me. And hey, man, you want to come down here and make a video? Or
Yeah, man.
a lot of people in town, man, that just as soon as you open your mouth, they start rolling their eyes in their mind just because they're constantly being bombarded and insulted by questions from tourists. But there's not a whole lot to come and tour out here. And that's one thing I love about this territory.
You get 10 miles from the coast and people still smile and wave at each other. People still love each other. They'll give you a handshake and help you if you're broke down for the most part. Even my little town of Indiantown, we have a huge Guatemalan population because during the 1980s they were committing genocide on the Native American peoples down in Guatemala, and the Catholic Church picked them up, moved them out there, and said, you know, we've got a safe haven for you. And they picked oranges, they made their money, and now we're coming up on second and third generations that are here.
Cool.
And you can talk to them, and they got some hellacious neat stories. And they came here, and they did the same thing that every first generation of Americans have done. They got their hands dirty, and they earned everything that they had.
Yes, sir. That's a great way to look at it, man. You know, and I tell you what, a lot of people hear our accents and see our beards, and
they assume the worst.
And they assume the worst. They think we're just some racist bastards or something. And
no,
that's not the case at all. You know, a lot of times us country folk are some of the most loving, nicest people that they make.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish people could see that a little bit more often. So I'm glad that you're giving all these people an opportunity to see what the backbone of Florida is what I like to call it, that strip just going down the middle of Florida.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's where the backbone is, and that's where
kind of the opposite of Colorado. Right down the center is where all that we'll call it the blue streak, and outside you're on the red, and vice versa here with Florida. And honestly, don't none of that really matter.
Yep, absolutely.
What it comes down to is where your food comes from.
Yes, sir. You know, and I love the way that you guys are doing this, you know, as far as keeping these weeds kicked back just by using a simple implementation of that plastic. Yeah. You know, plastic is something that I don't like as a scientist that specializes in sustainability, but at the same time, this is a gray world that we live in. It's not a black and white world. Well, and the plastic being used here is stopping so much Roundup and dicamba and all these nasty herbicides, and you can use it multiple times for multiple situations as well. You know, so this is another situation where I'm like, hey, even though people call me Captain Planet, I'm all about the plastic in this situation, because it sure beats the Roundup ruining our cation exchange capacities in the soil. You know, so it's awesome to see other farmers out just doing the right thing and enjoying it.
Well, it's like you said, we're in that gray area. We're in that transition point with technology. Hopefully we'll get to the point where all this plastic, it's just temporary use. We use it one day for this, we recycle it, and use it another day for that.
Exactly.
But you know, we're still figuring all that stuff out because we're so new at it.
Yeah, we got some learning to do, but hey, as long as we're trying.
That's right.
Well, hey, sir, it's been an honor to meet you.